Hey everyone, it's time for another one of our community holiday series, and I'm really excited to welcome Nancy Vue Tran here tonight. She's going to show us how to make soap. So Nancy, you want to introduce yourself and how you're connected to Badger Rock and who you are in the larger community?
Yeah.
And then
Hi.
you can share what we're doing.
Yep. Hi everyone. Nancy Vue Tran, she, her, hers. I am connected to Badger Rock through being part of the Badger Rock Garden Program. My husband is principal at Badger Rock, Mr. Tran, and I love to come to the community dinners. So that's how I'm connected. And I am the Director of Grants and Development at Freedom Inc. I'm also the owner of my own soap company called Interview Soaps. And I'm really happy that, I'm able to come and show you guys how to do melt and pour soaps so that you can make them for the holidays and give it to all your friends and family.
Yeah, so Nancy has also done a workshop with us on house plants.
Yep.
So if you missed that one, you can check in the videos on the Badger Rock Neighborhood Center page. She has so many different skills and talents, you all. So today is soap making. So you want to share with us what
Yeah,
you're using?
so soap making is, I like it because it's a really practical craft because everybody uses soap. And I've been doing melt and pour soap for a really long time. So basically melt and pour soap is soap that is already made, and it usually comes in like a pack like this or like a big block that you can buy. And it's already, it's usually unscented. Maybe it might have like, the base might have like shea or some kind of other ingredient to make it more luxurious. But what it does is it allows you to not have to deal with what they would call like the true process of making soap, which involves using lye and then using the oils like olive oil or some oil to mix and cure. That process is not what I'm doing tonight. That process is, it takes a whole month for the soap to cure, and you have to mix the lye and measure out. This process is so much easier because you can buy these blocks at like Michael's, Joann's. I usually just order online because I buy them in bulk, and I like to buy them in the 2-pound pack because they're really easy to maneuver. So I just take it out of a package like this, and it's already kind of cut into these little blocks for you. So this is 2 pounds, so then you already know right off the bat that this half is a pound. So it's really much easier to deal with. I'm using a special like soap knife, but I also have like a big cleaver at home that I use too. So it just, it doesn't matter what you do. So what I do is I make sure that I have my soap base. I always like to have a huge Pyrex glass like this, that I can put it in the microwave and melt. You can do this over like a pot of like boiling water, but it takes a long time. So you can also just microwave it. So that's how I'm gonna show you guys how to do it tonight. So make sure you have a big glass mixing bowl like this that you can microwave. That's microwavable. Make sure that you have something to stir the soap with. I just like using chopsticks. I get Chinese food and I keep all my chopsticks, and I just use them to stir stuff. So that's what I'm using tonight to stir. I like to use a dropper to measure out my oils. They say for a pound of soap is about no more than like 25 grams of essential oil or 5 grams of fragrance oil. And the difference is essential oil is usually something like people are more familiar with, like lavender oil or something like that. And the reason for that is the soap acts as like a carrier for the oil. You're not really supposed to put oils directly on your body because it could be dangerous. You could have sensitive skin. So that's why they say usually about 3% of your soap amount is the actual oil. So I say for a pound of soap like this, do about maybe like 2 full drops of this. That's my rough estimate of about 25 grams. Or you can have, if you are a very scientific person, you can get one of these like weighing scales, and you can use that to actually like weigh out the exact grams and ounces and things like that you want to do. But I'm pretty rough. Like I just kind of guess like, oh yeah, I think this is how much I want to do. But so tonight I'm gonna make a soap with an exfoliant, and I'm using old coffee grind. This is coffee that I made this morning, and so it's already been used, and I use it in my soap as like an exfoliant. So when I'm using the soap, it kind of like acts as like a little scrubby. So I really want to encourage you to think about creative ways to things to add to your soap. It doesn't have to be fancy. And so yeah, so these are sort of the you want to think about your fragrance. You want to think about the embeds or the things that you want to put in your soap. Have that all ready. And then also color. You know, do you want to add color to your soap? The coffee will make it a little light brown color. If you wanted to add like natural colorants, there's all these over here are different things that you can use, and they can act as an exfoliant also. So I love using like beetroot powder. It's actually like a really pretty pink color, and it's a powder. So when you're using the soap, it actually acts as like a really fine exfoliant. But you can put charcoal in there. Charcoal is really good for like face soap because charcoal is really good for taking out the impurities in your skin. I love using turmeric powder. I love using moringa powder. These are all like naturally based colorants, and so you don't have to, if you have really sensitive skin, you don't have to worry about using like synthetic colorants. And there's clays. I also love making soap with like dried botanicals, like flowers. So like this is just a bag of dried pink rose petals that I love to throw right on top of the soap, and it's just really pretty. And then I also like using like lavender flowers to throw on the top and make it pretty. So I encourage you to kind of just have all your basics laid out already, so that by the time you melt your soap, all you're doing is just throwing things on it and letting it sit, so that you're not rushing to grab all that stuff later. And then the other thing, at the end of the process, I'll show you, but you also want to have a little bottle of alcohol in like a little spritz bottle, because at the end you'll see the soap, when you pour it, it'll have bubbles on top, and if you don't like that, you can spray the top with the alcohol, and the soap, the little bubbles on top will disappear, and it'll just be a more clean process. So that's the basics. Have all your supplies, and I think we're raffling off 3 packages. So if you're watching and you enter the raffle, I made 3 packages that will have a pound of soap that I already kind of cut up, and I'm including a little baggie of lavender, a chopstick to help you stir. I'll include a Pyrex or like a glass measuring cup, and you'll get some beet powder, some beetroot powder. You'll get a bottle of an essential oil. I think there's a sweet orange, a peppermint, and a lavender, and you know, like there's different ones in each one. And then all of these also have one of my favorite scents. It's a I don't know what's called synthetic, but it's like a fragrance oil. It's like an essential oil. It's called peony white tea fragrance. It's really pretty. It's more of a floral. So each of the kits, if you win it, will be like this. And I'll also include a set of these little tiny plastic cups that I just use for the mold. So that's what you'll get. And that's what I'm going to use tonight. And there's other molds that we can talk about, other options too. But we'll start with what I think is just the most accessible things, that might be at your house.
So to enter the raffle, just so y'all know how, if you can tag a friend in the comments of this video, we'll enter everybody who tags a friend into the raffle, and we'll pull 3 names, and we will let y'all know on Monday whose names got pulled. So this was a huge gift from Nancy to put all these together for y'all, so don't miss out on this one.
Yeah. All right, so the first thing I'm going to do, like I said, is I took the soap out of the packaging, and I'm just going to make it into smaller cubes, because then it's easier and quicker when you microwave it. So I just like to chop it up like so. And I'll do half a pound in that glass, and then I'm gonna do half a pound in another glass, just in case I think I want to do different colors and things. So we're gonna walk over to the microwave, and I put it in there, and I do it on increments of about 30 seconds. So I'll watch it, and then I'll take it out. I'll kind of stir it to make sure it's kind of like melting. But you also don't want to keep it in there too long without monitoring it because it can burn. So I like to monitor every 30 seconds just to make sure that it doesn't completely blow up in the microwave. And you don't want burnt soap. Burnt soap will just smell gross, and then you'll have to start all over. But yeah, this is my preferred way of making melt and pour soap. Like I said, you can also do a hot water bath. If any of you guys are canners, you know what that means. You basically have a pot of big boiling water. You can put your glass container over the water and let the soap melt. But you can imagine that takes a long time. So I don't have a lot of time. So I like to do it really quickly. But yeah, so that's why I recommend make sure you have a glass microwavable Pyrex or something with a handle, because you don't want to touch it. It's hot. You want to be able to carry it and stir it and do all of that. So let me see.
There it was already.
Yeah. So you can see. Yeah, go ahead, Sarah.
So you mean like a double boiler?
Yeah, like a double boiler. Yeah. What did I say? Hot water bath. Like a double boiler. So you could do that. And that'll work too if you don't have a microwave. But if you have a microwave, so it's already like kind of melted. And I like to kind of stir it and then make sure it's okay. And then I'll throw it back in for another 30 minutes. And this is why it's nice to have like something like a chopstick or something to stir it. Because if you're making a lot of soap and you're using a lot of different scents, you're going through a lot of stirs, and chopsticks are just easy. You can just use it, throw it in the sink, and go on to the next batch. So let's see what this one looks like now. And again, this was just half a pound, and that took like about a minute and a half. So you can see it's completely melted, and it looks like milk. I think this soap has like shea in it, a little bit of shea butter. Yeah. So this one, yeah, let me look at it. Oh no, this is just, this is my detergent-free shea butter base. So that's why the shea made it a white color. But there is soap bases that are clear, and those are nice if you want to add like color, like different kind of things to it. So after you do this, you want to start adding all your stuff, right? So I think I'm gonna do my coffee exfoliant with this one. So you can pretty much add as much or as little of the embeds. Embeds is just the dried flowers or the exfoliant, whatever you want to put in there, as much as you think you might want to add. For this half a pound of soap, I'm just gonna put like a little scoop of coffee grinds. And you can see I just sort of dropped it in there, and then I stirred it, and you can see already how it's turning the white into like a really pretty brown color, and you can see like the little grounds kind of floating. And this will like kind of get it'll get cool quick, so you do have to work a little fast. And if you're you get distractors and just throw it back in the microwave, but you do have to kind of work a little bit fast. So, and then for this scent, I'm going to use one of my favorite scents is this oatmeal milk and honey fragrance. So this is a fragrance oil. It's not an essential oil, and the recommendation is that for a fragrance oil you add 5 grams per 1 pound, which is about 2.5 grams if you're using half pound. And for 2.5 grams, I'm going to estimate that it's probably about like 1 pipette of fragrance oil. If you're very scientific and you have very sensitive skin, you can like try to do the accurate measurements. So I just kind of drop it in like that. And different soaps, like this one, will tell you like really important things like flash point, like at what degree does the soap burn so the smell doesn't exist anymore, and like other things like this tells us that it has actually 1.1% vanilla in there. It's too scientific for me, but those are important things to think about if you are doing this on a large scale, and you're working with people who really need to know those things.
That's such a cool idea to use coffee for exfoliant.
Yeah. So, and the way I do this is I just kind of throw it in, and then I'll smell it. And I don't even think I'm gonna add any colorants to it because it already has like a really pretty brown. But maybe I'll throw I'll just do some of the beet powder just so you can see how that looks. And for colorants, you really can do as much or as little color as you want, as long if it's like these natural colorants, I don't really see a problem in more or less. If it's like a synthetic color, like they do have some that are like liquid based or whatnot, you might want to just be more careful. But for this, I'm just gonna kind of estimate what I think. And the beet powder kind of is comfy, so you do want to kind of break it up a little bit.
And you were saying you can make your own beet powder by growing beets and dehydrating them?
Yeah, just dehydrating it and probably just grinding it.
Yeah. And like a coffee grinder or something.
Yeah. So you can see, I mean, it didn't really turn it a deep color or anything. It was just a slight, I think it's because the coffee was in there. So that's all I'm gonna do. That's all I'm gonna do. And then I'm going to use these little like containers that I got at, I think I just got them at the dollar store. And I'm gonna pour them in. And I'm just gonna pour them like halfway, because when you take the mold out, it's gonna look like this, like a little disc, basically. So I'll just pour it in, and you'll see it'll just pour right in. And the coffee grounds will float to the bottom because they're heavier, right? Like they're not gonna suspend as good, but that's okay because then you can use that side of the soap for the exfoliating. So this half a pound of soap made 4 discs. I'm just gonna kind of scooch out the rest of this one. And then if you want to see, so I don't know if you can see, but in the soap, there's like these little air bubbles. And I don't like that. I don't think it's pretty. So that's when you use your little spritz of alcohol to just spray. And you see how that just kind of like, it makes the bubbles go away. It's basically just like piercing the bubbles and making them go away. And since it's alcohol, it'll dry off. So it doesn't affect the integrity of your soap or your scent or your coloring. That's it. So this is basically the basics of making melt and pour soap. It's really easy. And then if you want to make it pretty, you know, you can add like rose petals to it or whatever. I like to wait because it's still kind of like warm and liquidy right now. So anything that you put in there is just gonna go boop, down at the bottom. Like just imagine like if you're eating soup and you're trying to throw like cheese on top or something heavier than cheese, I guess. It'll just like go down to the bottom. So this is basically that same concept. So I usually like to wait a little bit for it to cool down before I put any kind of like embed on top. Some people like to put, like I've made soaps for baby showers or for kids, and you can put, you know, cute little like toys in the middle, you know, so that when they're using the soap, they get the surprise in the middle. So there's like a lot of fun things that you can do with soaps. And then everyone uses it, and you can, like I said, you can color it however you want. There's different mica glitters that are kid friendly, like skin friendly, so you can put like glitter in there. I think I brought oh well, this is not a glitter, but it's another kind of colorant. It's a mica, and this one is like a hot pink mica, and it basically is just like a deep powder.
Ooh, that's
yeah. So I can use this in the next batch. And then colorants, like I said, also come in these like blocks. So you can buy these like color blocks. These are basically like soaps that are already deeply colored for you, and you can chop off as much as little as you want to add into your soap, so that you can color it. So we've given this batch about maybe 2 minutes by now, and I'm just gonna test it. I'm gonna throw just a little bit.
Looks like it's staying.
Yeah, it's staying. Yeah, and you want it to not be completely cooled out, right? Because you want the whatever you're gonna throw on top to have something to stick to.
Yeah.
So here's some rose petals on this one. And then maybe, you know, you might want to throw some of your lavender. And I also, this year, I actually, in my Badger rock garden, I actually grew a whole bunch of like calendula and like zinnias. And then I dried it, and I took off the petals, and I'm using the petals as embeds in my soaps this year. So you can also do that. So then here's the lavender that goes on top. You see, it just makes it look really pretty. And You can stick this. So what I like to do is I will get like, let me get, I usually have like a cake, like not a cake pan, what is it? Like a baking sheet. I usually have like a baking sheet and I'll just put the soap. I actually have the soap on it. And I forgot to bring one to show you, but you'll want to have it sitting on something that you can move around. So let's pretend that this is my cake sheet or my baking sheet. And I usually will stick it, I'll just let it stay overnight. Or if you are, wanting to hurry it up, you can stick it outside in the cold, or you can stick it in your freezer and just let it chill. And this batch will take about, I don't know, it'll probably, about like 8 hours for it to really dry. I mean, you could probably do 4 hours, but it might be a little soft. And once you take it out of the mold, I should have brought one that was already made in the mold, but once you pop it out of the mold, I brought some soaps that I have made with melt and pour, and so you can imagine this was like a charcoal soap that I made for skin. This is what it'll look like. You'll pop it, you'll basically imagine this was in there melted, and then you'll just like pop it out, and this is what it'll look like. It'll look like something like this. And then the way to preserve it is, honestly, for the last 10 years I've been making melt and pour soap. I just go to Costco and I buy a huge roll of their plastic cling wrap, and I just use that to wrap it, because with melt and pour soap, if you leave it out, it will, the air and the water, just like the water and the air will make it condense a little bit, and it'll get kind of like wet and sticky. So you want to not expose it to too much air. So I like to just wrap it in a cling wrap, and this will last in your closet for like 4 years. Like, it won't go bad at all. So that's pretty much how I package all my soap. I just package it in saran wrap, and then if you want to make it pretty, you can put pretty paper around it or whatever.
So was this the beetroot one?
So this one was actually like a pink color. It was just like a pink color, mica color, and I don't know if you can see, I put like glitter in the corner of it. Pretty. Yeah, and then I think I tried to swirl like charcoal into it, but it didn't really work. Yeah, and then this one I made, I actually added like sea salt to it, but I didn't do it. It's like the salt all went to the bottom and then it crackled. So I had to like figure out the method for that one. But yeah, so that's that. So and then you can see, things get messy. So what I like to do is I would, like, as that's drying, I'd throw this in the sink and I'd wash it right away. So that's why it's good to have, like, if you're trying to do different fragrances and scents and stuff, you can try to have two things. Should I do one more kind of variety of soap, do you think? You want me to try it? Okay, because it's so easy. Okay, so I'll microwave this one.
And we'll post the link to Nancy's soap making business too in the comments. And if you're interested in a kit, reach out to her if you're interested in ingredients or in soaps.
Yeah.
And Nancy, depending on her time, she is a busy person.
No, I always love to show people how to do stuff. I'll have some kits made up, and then people want to purchase it so they can follow along during the video. You'll have kind of like the basics already, so you don't have to go out and try to find everything all at once. And sometimes you don't need like a whole, like, I have huge bottles of fragrance oils. Like, sometimes you don't want to buy a whole bottle because it's like $18-20. You just want like a little bit. So I can like make it into little like smaller containers for people. I also wanted to talk about molds. So if you want to do like fancier molds, you can buy, like, Brambleberry is one of my favorite. But you can buy molds like at Hobby Lobby, Michael's, Joann's. There are all these different kind of molds that you can put your melt and pour soap into, and so when you pop it, like this one has like a bee design. Oh, so when you pop it out, it'll have like these pretty designs on them.
And you got all these at Hobby Lobby?
So I think these pink ones I just got like on Amazon, but they're kind of flimsy. They're not like as thick, and like you can see, like this one's like really thick.
Yeah.
Not that it makes a difference actually. I think these were actually worked out pretty fine. They held my base really well. And then these ones, I got at Hobby Lobby during like Valentine's Day. These are actually meant for like baking.
Oh, okay.
But they make like the perfect 3-ounce bar of heart-shaped soap.
Cool.
So I actually went back and bought these on sale, and I had like 4 of them. So then I can make, 24 bars of soap at one time without having to like wash out the mold and do it again.
Yeah.
But you can use anything. I've seen people take like an old paper, like like milk comes in like those paper containers.
Yeah.
You can wash it out and cut it, and you can use it kind of like as a mold for your soap too. These are all like plastic because I like to be able to like rewash and reuse them. So this is like more of a loaf mold where you can pour your whole soap in there, and then you use a cutter to kind of cut them into the traditional. You would put it into something like this, and you would cut them into like traditional
Gotcha.
rectangle bars of soap.
So you make a whole loaf and then you cut the loaf after it's cool.
Yep. So you can make the whole loaf, and then you would this would probably fit about 2 pounds of soap. So then you could do it 2 pounds of soap at once. It'd probably take you the whole overnight, like 8 hours. Then you would flip it out, you would put it in here, and then you can use that little cutter to cut it into the traditional rectangle bars of soap. So for this batch, let's do, I'll show you how the micas work. So for the micas, I like to first put them into a little, another dry bowl. And then it's kind of like painting. I like to add some alcohol to it to just kind of mix it up first before I put it into my soap. So it's already, kind of watery versus throwing it into my soap. So that's how I do it with like powder colorants, and then, you'll just pour it into your soap. Then you would use like a clear base soap, like something like this. This is a crystal clear base. So this came out more like pink. I don't know what I think about that, but we'll make this like a rose pink soap or something. And then we'll, we can do it in this, I didn't wash this, but this is that mold that I got from Hobby Lobby that was in their baking section during like Valentine's Day. And I think I got it on sale because it was like after season.
Yeah.
So, okay, so we have pink. And what scent should we do, Sarah? I think there's lavender, woods, and honey. I have a honey and apricot. I have a sweet vanilla chai. I have my brandied pear. Should we do brandied pear?
Yes.
Okay, let's do brandied pear. It smells really good. Okay. So like I said, this was about what was it? This was half a pound. So this was a 1/4 pound. So, I did my math wrong a little bit, I think. But we'll just do about a small pipette of fragrance oil. So I just don't think, you should, for like a small amount of soap like this, like don't do more than like 1 pipette. Like I think any more than that just might be too much. But like I said, you could measure it out. It's just a little harder when you're doing small batches like this. Okay, and then
super pretty.
Yeah, and then for the exfoliant, I actually love using things like lemon powder. This is like a lemon powder. I think it's made out of like lemon rinds, and they just grind it down. I think that's probably what it is.
That's something you can make at home too.
Yeah, you can take your lemon or orange rinds and just kind of like save them and then dehydrate those. So like I said, I'm not a measurer. Like I just do what I think is what I like. So I just kind of put a little bit inside. And we'll just mix it up. I also have these like tiny little whisks that work really good for this kind of stuff. But I didn't bring it. I didn't know where it was. Yeah. So there's that. And then I'm just gonna pour it. Let's see. Yeah. Just gonna pour it into the molds. And what did we say this is? This was half a pound because this is a 2 pound bar. So half a pound of soap for these heart-shaped containers made 3 bars. And I'm gonna spritz it so those little bubbles go away.
It's like magic.
Yeah, now we have like, yeah. But you can see like, because I didn't whisk it, the lemon powder kind of clumped up a little bit. And that's okay, it just has like a different look, you know?
Yeah.
Than maybe you intended, but that's the whole point. You can just kind of experiment with whatever you want to do. And once you really get into it, there are ways to like to swirl colors, right? So you can kind of wait until it gets a little bit cooler, and then the viscosity is a little thicker, right? And then it can hold. You can make another batch of the same thing, same scent, but maybe you want to swirl in like a black color, right? And then you can kind of pour it. And this is just a little. So just pretend this was like
A different color.
Yeah, a different color. You could kind of swirl it, and you can kind of just imagine like what that might look like. You know, maybe when you finally have a dried soap, it might have like swirls or specks of like black soap in it, right? So there's all kinds of ways to experiment with the kind of soap that you want, and it is a little bit of like knowing those kind of scientific things too. Like, okay, is it the right viscosity yet? You know, is it gonna hold this in bed yet? You know, like how heavy is this thing? I'm not like super that person, but I do like to experiment with like, oh, what would happen if I like put this thing in there? You know, put some charcoal in there later on. Yeah. So that's pretty much it. So that was what, like that was half a pound of soap, and that made 7 little bars of soap that you can now package and you can wrap up for the holidays as gifts. You know, and I usually just like we'll get like little Ziploc bags like this, and I'll just put them in there and I'll give it out as gifts or whatever. But yeah.
And I have been gifted Nancy's soap before. It is really a treasure.
Yeah.
And she does this.
Yeah, and these were some soaps that I made. I made in that loaf. I was experimenting with during like the prime of COVID. Like I was experimenting like if I can carry around my own little tiny things of soap.
Oh yeah.
So like I made it in that loaf, and then I cut them into these little blocks, and I added I think this was, I don't know what this exfoliant was. I can't remember. It was probably like soy powder or something like that. And I was like I would carry it around so I go to the bathrooms, and I would just like use it to wash my hands. And they're cute. They're like, they look like little sugar cubes, you know?
Yeah.
And I don't even remember what scent this was because I didn't mark it. But yeah, so that's that one. Yeah, so you can see, I mean, like I said, we're probably not going to be able to unmold it for you, but you can kind of see like it's starting to firm up a little bit. And then you'll just pop it out. If you can imagine it being in, like this had soap in it, after 8 hours, you would just pop it out just like Jell-O or something like that. Yeah. And then you'll have your bar of soap. But yeah, Sarah, is there anything that you think I missed that you think
No, I have never
would
made
want
soap,
to
so I'm
hear about?
learning along with our audience today.
Yeah.
So cool.
Yeah.
It's inspiring me to want to go home and try something.
Yeah, it's super easy, and there's all different kind of bases. And you know, people, you know, might be allergic to like certain ingredients, and you like they'll list ingredients. For like my girls, I like to buy like detergent-free bases. Basically, all that means it doesn't have that SLS ingredient in there that like tends to be a little bit more aggravating for skin. But you know, so you can still have a little bit of say. But this is definitely for like the hardcore soap makers. Like I know they're probably watching. They're like, where's the lye? Like where's the oils and where's the curing? Like that's not that. One day I can also show you how to do that version, because I have made it, and it is a big difference. But this is also, you know, a fun, cute way to make soap and be creative at the same time, because you can add all the different colors and scents, and you know, from your own garden, right? Like if you're growing flowers or whatever, you can add those things into it.
Yeah, and for people at home with kids who don't want to mess around with libraries and all that stuff.
Yes.
And times,
Yeah.
I think this is really awesome to learn how to do it.
Yeah.
short style.
Yeah.
And yeah, we'll invite you back, of course, Nancy, for
Yeah.
another one if you ever want to do the full length version.
Oh yeah, and hopefully by then we can do in person, you know,
Yes.
because it is just, it's more fun. You can like smell everything,
Yeah.
touch stuff, and a lot of it is about that. Like, it's about like, oh, is this the right amount of scent I like, or you know, whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's pretty much it. And then the cleanup.
Yeah, there's always the cleanup.
Yeah, but it's basically just like baking, you know, and I don't do a lot of baking, so this is the extent of like my role in the kitchen. Yeah.
Thank you so much,
You're
Nancy. This is so
welcome.
exciting. And if you all are tuning in late or didn't hear before, if you want to share, if you want to tag someone in the comments, one of your friends on Facebook, with this video, then your name will be entered into a raffle, and we'll let y'all know if you are the winners the day after we post this workshop. And you will get one of these beautiful kits made by Nancy, just like a little starter soap making kit, so you can try it at home and see what you think. And you might get hooked and end up with all this stuff.
And it's perfect in time for the holidays.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much, Nancy.
You're
This has been
welcome.
super fun.
Yeah.
And we will certainly do something with you again
Yes.
in the future.
Yes.
Nancy is a woman of many talents. So.
Yes. Thank you guys.
Well, happy holidays, everyone. And if you make so pop in the comments how it went, we'd love to see a
Yeah,
picture.
and feel free to message me on Facebook, Nancy Vue Tran. I'm happy to talk to you about. I love talking about soap making, and then I didn't even go into like the packaging of it all, like the making it pretty. We can do a whole day of all that too. So yeah, so enjoy. Thanks again for supporting Badger Rock and watching us today.
Thank you. All right, we'll see you next time.